And it is a blessing for you and a noble thing. And is there in this act of the Muslims that Muslims all over the world do to this day an obvious sign for anybody who is looking for the truth? And as I said, the story must go always forward and it must always go back. If this was what was assigned to the last messenger, it should be something that every Muslim continues to practice till the end of days and always swears by. And non-Muslims always don't understand how it is that Muslims can actually fast, but we do it because it was the commandment of the Lord. But if you look back in the story, you will see that just as they try to deceive you and tell you what this new thing called Islam is so different than what was before, and we're telling you the stories and the signs are all there for you of the truth of the fundamentals, that this prayer of fasting for 30 days was exactly what the bearer of light named Moses did before he went to go see his Lord. And if you don't understand what I mean in accepting the truth of the light that I'm telling you right now, that has always been called Islam, then go back and listen to the story of Moses and what happened and how beautiful it was that he was taught to fast. What is the next pillar of faith? We said that we've gone through the statement bearing witness because that is what must be done. There is only one God and Muhammad is his messenger. We pray to the Lord because he is the only one to pray to and no man is slave to any other man. But we all humble ourselves before the Lord Most High. And we said that the next pillar of the Muslims in the rituals that they practice and worship the Lord that must be in existence was fasting. And we told you the reasons why. And then we told you that it is of the Muslims that they give of their wealth, of the bounty that the Lord gave you, that this earth is a blessing from the Lord Most High, and that you are maintainers of the earth. And so when you have any possessions or values of this thing, you should always spend it in the way of the Lord, and you must do so as a part of your faith to help all of those other men who are believers, to help them rise up in this situation so that all believers are in a better status. Well, we've been talking about the amazing thing, and we've been saying always remember the fundamentals, that we are only talking about the truth, the story of the truth of the light. And that this war that we are in is not some political war or jihad or anything else like you hear today. I told you, we're not talking about any of the nonsense that you might have heard. We're talking about the truth of the light. For once in your life, listen to the story. So we said the fundamentals are what? That the people are at war with light versus darkness. And of mankind, there are believers in the light, and of mankind, there are people who deny the light or have covered it up. And they deceive you and misdirect you, possibly with the help of some of the other interdimensional beings or jinns or alien races, Satan and his minions. And of the other races, there are believing and disbelieving members of the other races. And this should be made known to you, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. It is at this point that we're coming to one of the most important issues. And it is the final pillar of Islam. The final pillar of Islam is called the Hajj. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you might have heard some things, but you're never going to hear them like this again. I'm going to tell you briefly what it means so that you understand the straight points clearly. But the meaning and the deepness of the truth of the light will only be made clear to you if you dare to listen on and open your mind to the truth. For as I've promised you, you will understand all and know everything by the end of this story. The final pillar of the Muslims, those who say we are believers in the Lord Most High, none should be worshipped but Him, we have been given the message of the truth, is another final pillar that, as we said, if it is true that this is the final prophet, then this pillar must be established for all time and always be remembered. And it should be such a clear pillar that tells the story beautifully. This pillar is called the Hajj. Now, unlike you've ever heard, I'm going to describe to you the functions. Well, some of you might know, of course, that Muslims all over the world go to Mecca for the annual pilgrimage. Now, here is an important part. It is done annually, every year, always, every year. It has been so since the time the Prophet taught it to us, and it will continue to be so till the end of days. This is a fundamental. What is this strange thing called the Hajj? It is comprised of certain rituals. Some of them you might have heard. Well, obviously you know that the Muslims go and there's that black house, and we've said that it is built by Abraham and Ishmael, and we've gone through the process of that being so important and why that was to happen. And we know that there are believers there who encircle the house of God. Encircle the house of God in a counterclockwise fashion. Believers in the light from all over the earth gather together in a beautiful way. But the process of the Hajj is a little bit more complex. There are rules and rituals and certain clothing, such as you might know that all the believers come wearing only just a white cloth. No fanciness, simpleness, pure white cloth on the bottom and a white cloth on the top for the men, and any simple clothing for the women, covering their dignity but being in the most humble way. What is the importance of that cloth? It is to suggest that we are the sons of Adam, and there is nothing great or dignified in us, no matter how wealthy you are or how poor you are, no matter what your status of nobility or lineage. All the sons of Adam are equal before the eyes of God. Because if the final message were to come, it should be about equality of all the sons of Adam, because we've always maintained this isn't a story about one group or any other group anymore. This is the end of the story. This is about the battle for our planet, as we've continued to understand. This is about the survival of the human race, greater than any other title or group's name or political party. And so believers in the light gather there, all saying we are just sons of Adam, bearing nothing but our bodies with a humble cloth, and they gather on their pilgrimage wearing only that. And they do certain rituals, such as going to the city of the Prophet and then returning to the city of Mecca. And you might have heard in the West that there is this process called stoning, where the Muslims throw pebbles. And you might have heard of some of the other things like the shaving of the head or the cutting or the cutting of the hair. And there are different rituals and the meanings of them can be explained. But one of the points of the story, so that we always understand the fundamentals, is that every part of the ritual must be connected so that the people who are claiming that we know the story of the truth of the light must be able to enact that in their rituals. So what is the process of throwing the stones that you hear in the West? The Muslims throw stones at the devil. Sounds really crazy. Well, it is not that Muslims are throwing stones at the devil. We know that the devil, Satan, the other race, the jinn who challenged Adam and all his offspring in this war, came to Abraham. When? When Abraham was going to sacrifice his son as God had commanded. Because remember, Abraham wanted rememberers of the Lord and bearers of the light to be on the earth. And God told Abraham to sacrifice his son. And Abraham, every time he was thinking of it, Satan came and whispered to him, and he threw a stone. That happened 3 times. And so Muslims do that very act in the acts of the Hajj. Ponder that and see if it connects. Please let me take a break.